Hi everyone, good morning. Today is 18th of November and I welcome you all to the Hindu newspaper analysis discussion. So guys, let's start with the session. In this session, we are going to take up entire analysis of Hindu newspaper. We'll take up the articles which are relevant for our examination and we'll see the articles with their background as well as way forward. And also I would like to tell you that if you want, you can download the explainer notes of this particular session from this particular explainer notes from the Telegram channel. Link for Telegram is given in description box in YouTube. Now, first of all, let's take overview of entire newspaper so that you can understand that which articles are relevant in today's newspaper. So, first of all, we don't have much relevant articles here. Voter turnout, fine, with respect to the elections in Chhattisgarh MP has been given. No need to go too much in that. Tunnel rescue work stopped. So recently it has been seen that a horrific and tragic incident happened in Uttarakhand where one of a tunnel collapsed and around 40 workers have been trapped there. Okay, so about that. Now moving on guys in this particular direction, then Tamil Nadu government plans to reenact bills fine as Governor Ravi withholds assent. So this particular controversy also we have seen in the last week also. What has happened, that many of the state governments, they have approached Supreme Court with respect to that governor is not passing the bill and it is withholding assent. Okay, so they wanted that governor's powers should be restricted, and also it has been said that for very long period of time government has held the bills in the pocket. So now assembly is looking forward to reenact that particular bill. Okay, then festive season train fares go up. No need to go too much in that particular detail. Then in regional section we have largely the regional political articles. Then these tenders, advertisements, etc. are there. Okay, so directly guys we'll skip. We don't have much important articles here. Largely only political articles or these advertisements, etc. are given. So, we come to editorial page. Now on editorial page we have here article building the floor. Now this article talks about recent US China summit that has been held. We'll take this particular article for examination. Then here we have article geopolitical fallout of Israel Hamas war. We'll take this particular article also for examination. State of economy temper the euphoria. We'll see this particular article as what the article is talking about. Summit clash. India will need to be at its best against Australia in the final. So guys, tomorrow as it is World Cup final, so article is on that line. However, for examination, no substance is given in this particular article, so no need to go too much in detail in that. Then further moving on, we have this ground zero report, uncertain future in sea of poppies. Okay, so three of districts in Madhya Pradesh and Rajasthan constitute 80% of opium production. Fine. They are facing the problem of stagnant procurement, rising input prices. Now, understand this particular thing that in on Saturday, this article, this page is a ground zero report. Now, in ground zero report, what they do? Basically, they go at ground and they basically investigate the problems of people, what concerns they are seeing. Now, article I have read it, but much important substance has not been given in this particular thing. Then further moving on in news section, fine, we have the 6 militants killed in operation in Kulgam, Rajouri, fine. World Cup final to begin with, IAF air show watched by VIPs. Okay, now nothing much important is there. Article 370 order pending even as judge is set to retire. So on the constitutional validity, this particular matter is going on. Then guys, further moving on, PM strongly condemns civilian casualties in Israel Hamas conflict, and this is India's position that India has held for a long time, that India always condemns any humanitarian crisis that is going on. Now even in this Israel Hamas war, though act of Hamas is an act of terror, but even after that particular thing, the Israel which is carrying attacks on hospitals, okay, in which civilian people are getting killed, it can never be accepted, can never be tolerated. Then we have this assembly poll page. Okay, talking about the voter participation, etc. Okay, India has a critical role in Dubai climate conference. We'll take this particular article. Modi warns against deepfakes, asks media to be on the guard. What are the deepfakes? Deepfakes are synthetic videos. Okay, we have seen also recently one article on this particular thing also. So deepfakes are the doctored videos, synthetic videos. Okay, where a person where a person's video can be curated, showing person doing certain things, saying certain things which actually that person has never said or never done. So today we and guys, if you remember last week we have seen that there was one article also that came where one of our celebrities deep fake video surfaced online. So we have seen that how these deep fake videos are made. Okay, so technological science and tech angle also we have taken up. Okay, so the Prime Minister is saying that media has a special responsibility to ensure that any fake news propagation does not happen by deep fakes. Okay, then moving on after that, Sahara investors worried because of the death of Subrata Roy. Okay, then UN halts aid to Gaza. Why? Because of the communication blackout, and the people in Gaza right now are facing a lot of problems. Okay, and a lot of aids which reaching will now not reach. Moreover, guys, in this particular capacity, yesterday we have seen that there was also a resolution that was floated in UNSC asking that a pause needs to be imposed on this particular war and corridors need to be established. But that thing also has not helped too much. Okay, Japan PM raises serious concerns about military activity. Fine, in talks with Xi. Okay, then guys, further moving on, Sri Lankan president calls Jay Shah regrets commit. Now, no need to go and track these particular articles too much for your examination. Okay, then guys, CBIC, SBI sees minimal impact on tighter personal loan rules. Okay, now here we have one article, India targets $40 billion in technical textiles. We'll see what are the technical textiles. Okay, then we have the sports page. Okay, guys, understand this thing that today we don't have too many articles. Why? Because first of all, as it is Saturday, one page is that ground zero. Secondly, text and context is not published today because it is Saturday. In text and context, we have three articles, and most of them are usually important for our UPSC examination. And also science page, which is published in the last after the sports, that also is not published today because of the Saturday. So on Saturday, usually there are less number of articles because science page is not there, text and context is not there, and in editorial, one page is of the ground zero. Okay, fine. So that is all, guys, about it. And now let's take all relevant articles one by one in detail. Okay, so as I told you, you can download the synoptic notes from our Telegram channel. Okay, now every class we start with a GS quotation that can be used to complement your answers. So today we'll take quotation from Nelson Mandela. So Nelson Mandela says, as I have said, the first thing is to be honest with yourself. You can never have an impact on society if you have not changed yourself. Great peacemakers are all people of integrity, honesty, but humility. Okay. So the first thing starts from yourself. Okay. The power of change lies in you. Even Gandhiji says that the change that you want to see in the world, you should embrace that change first. Be the change you want to see in the world. Okay. Similarly, Nelson Mandela says this particular thing that if you wish to change the world, it starts with you. First, you have to be honest with yourself. You can never have an impact on society if you are not the person of integrity, if you are not the person of honesty. Now, you can use this particular idea, this particular quotation in GS paper number 4, ethics and integrity, ethics, as well as in essay. This particular quotation can be used. Now, moving on, and let's take first article for today. Building the floor. Building the floor. Now, this particular article we'll see with respect to GS paper number 2, International Affairs. GS paper number 2, International Affairs. Okay. Now, first of all, before going on in this particular article, I would like to tell you some basic background information and then we'll go in this particular article. So basically, guys, we have seen that right now there is a kind of a conflict, a kind of a silent cold war going on between Russia and China on one hand and USA on one hand. USA on one hand. Okay. Now, guys, when we talk about basically, guys, when we talk about this particular thing, just a minute. Okay. Now, understand this particular thing, guys, that in this particular, now, first of all, why this particular war is going on, or why this particular kind of a cold war is going on. it has been alleged by USA that the rise of China is leading to large number of problems. Now guys, first of all, when we talk about rise of China, you need to see this particular thing, that rise of China can be traced in certain phases. Rise of China can be traced in certain phases. And guys, we have seen this particular thing, that rise of China has actually started immensely after 1978-79, when China came out with their open door policy. Okay. Now, basically 1978 to 1990. 1978 to 1990. Fine. This was the period when China was growing at double digit growth rate. Their GDP was growing at double digits. Okay. And world started noticing China for the first time during this particular period. But China often tried not to come forward in front of the world. And here, China's growth was characterized by hide your capabilities, hide your capabilities, and bide your time, bide your time. Okay. Hide your capabilities, don't let world know what you are capable of, and by that seek more and more time, and as you will have more time, you will be able to enhance even more your capabilities. So 1978 79 to 1990, this was the China's philosophy. But by the time 1990 came, world actually noted that how rapidly China has grown, now, post 1990, China changed the narrative. Post 1990, China changed the narrative. And China said that our rise is peaceful rise. Our rise is peaceful rise. They say that we are benign. We will not give trouble to any nation. We are not going to challenge any other nation, including USA. So our rise is peaceful rise. We are rising. Yes, we are growing, but we are not going to harm anyone. They started accepting their economic growth that was coming. Okay, that was going on. Now, guys, what happened? However, post 2012, post 2012, what has happened? As Xi Jinping, as Xi Jinping came on the forefront, and as Xi Jinping started consolidating the power, what had happened? Xi Jinping's ideology is characterized by this, that now China has arrived. Now China has arrived. And owing to this arrival factor, now China has started questioning the established powers, and China is trying to become a regional hegemon, and after becoming regional hegemon, China will aim to become a global hegemon. And as China will become global hegemon, it will be a direct attack, it will be a direct challenge to USA, because right now USA assumes itself as a superpower, as a global hegemon. Okay, and USA sees that there is no rival of USA. But as China is arising, as China has been driven by rival factor, now China has started to challenge USA. Moreover, as China and Russia have come together, largely because of Russia-Ukraine war, this has become even a bigger challenge for USA, and therefore confrontations between China and USA have started to increase, and these particular confrontations actually became even more problematic post 2016. Why? Because in 2016, when Donald Trump became president of USA, Donald Trump became president on the wave of hyper-nationalism. And in that hyper-nationalism, USA, China angle, it will become even more prominent. And what happened? Large number of sanctions were imposed on China. Okay. Moreover, guys, what happened? As pandemic started, Donald Trump outrightly called pandemic as a China virus. And because of that particular thing, even they started to detach from China, and decoupling got started. Decoupling got started. What is this decoupling? Decoupling is detaching the America's economy from China, and America started to outrightly give incentives to American corporates if they detach from China. They wanted to reduce the reliance upon from the China. So this decoupling started. Okay, and in meanwhile, what had happened? The relations between USA and China has declined too much. And guys, here I am giving you one keyword also. Please write this particular thing in your copies. Okay, Thucydides trap. Thucydides trap. Now, guys, what is the Thucydides trap? Okay, so basically, okay, Thucydides trap. Now, first of all, I will explain you what does it means, and then we will see that why we are discussing it in the present articles. Okay, so okay, now it is said that suppose there is a established power, there is an established power, or let's say there is a global hegemon, global hegemon. Okay, and it is said that when the rise of some other power happens, when some another country starts its rise, then what happened? War becomes inevitable. War becomes inevitable. There is a likelihood of war between two powers. Why? Because this global hegemon will see that rise of this particular country will come at the cost of this particular country which has already been established. Now, there is the idea of zero sum game. If you are the student of PSIR, you might be knowing about it already. Zero sum game. Zero sum game. Now, what is zero sum game? Zero sum game stands on this particular thing that power is limited, and rise of, and if one party will become powerful, that party's power will come at the cost of other party's power. Other party's power. Power is limited, and one's power comes at the cost of other power. Means if you are becoming powerful, it means I am becoming powerless. Your power is coming because my power is going down. Okay, so this is zero sum game. Okay, so guys, what is Thucydides trap? Thucydides trap basically is based on to the idea of zero sum game. Okay, so when there is a global hegemon and global hegemon witnesses the rise of some other country, some other power, there the likelihood of war increases. Likelihood of war increases. Please write in your copy. I will give you a dictation. Thucydides trap. Please write Thucydides trap. Thucydides trap describes that when a great powers that when a great powers position that when a great powers position that when a great powers position as hegemon is threatened by an emerging power is threatened by an emerging power, there is a significant likelihood of war, significant likelihood of war between the two powers, Okay, now basically if we see who is global hegemon right now, USA is the global hegemon right now. USA is the global hegemon right now. And who is this rising power? This rising power is China. Who is this rising power? This rising power is China. Okay, as this rising power is China and global hegemon is USA, and as zero sum game or zero sum game theory prevails, USA will see that the China's increase or improvement will lead to a decline in USA's power, and therefore this particular war might happen. And recently, just a few weeks back, Xi Jinping of China said this particular thing also, that USA should not fall in Thucydides trap. USA should not fall in Thucydides trap. Okay, so this can be one of an explanation, or basically please guys write this particular keyword in your notebook. Okay, moving on. So you know that why basically this confrontation between China and USA, sorry, have increased. Now in order to dilute it a little bit, both USA and China has recently organized a summit, and in this summit they have tried to dilute the tensions that have increased. So basically recently a summit got held between China and USA on the sidelines of APEC, okay, Asia Pacific Economic Cooperation Summit. Now in this they have signed many of the important concrete agreements, and they also hold a lesson for India. What lesson? We'll see this particular thing. Number one, they have decided that they will restart military to military direct dialogue. Military to military direct dialogue will be started, which got suspended, particularly post 2016. And then they will discuss risk and safety issues involved with artificial intelligence. Now, guys, if you remember, I have shown you one article where Prime Minister was concerned about the deep fakes. So, deep fake, personality impersonification, all these particular things will increase. Okay, privacy matters will become, even privacy matters will come as artificial intelligence will rise. So how artificial intelligence's safety concerns can be diluted, both the countries will cooperate on that particular thing. After that, guys, though these particular agreements have happened and it is said that it is good, but how far, how long lasting they will sustain? It is because of the fact, guys, there are elections that are impending in two of the places, that is Taiwan and USA. Now, first of all, in January next year, Taiwan is scheduled to go to the elections. Now, when we talk about, guys, Taiwan, okay, on Taiwan also there is one particular controversy. Let's understand this particular thing. So, China maintains one China principle. As per the China's one China principle, China says that the Taiwan is not a sovereign nation. Taiwan is a part of China only. And one day, China will make Taiwan its own part. One day, China will make Taiwan its own part, will take Taiwan in its embrace, and for that, even if they have to use force, they will do that thing. Okay. Now, Taiwan says that no, we are not the part of this China. Rather, we in itself are the main China. Okay. Taiwan does not. Taiwan says that we are a sovereign nation. We are a sovereign nation. Okay. Now, guys, China is very sensitive on Taiwan matter. So, therefore, most of the countries in the world don't recognize Taiwan as a sovereign nation. Most of the countries don't recognize Taiwan as a sovereign nation. Now, when we talk about USA, USA held the policy of strategic ambiguity with respect to Taiwan. What is the strategic ambiguity? Neither USA acknowledges Taiwan as sovereign, nor USA denies Taiwan that it is not a sovereign. Okay, USA has maintained this strategic ambiguity. Okay, and guys, what happens when the relation between China and USA are going good? They will not pick up the Taiwan matter. USA will not pick up the Taiwan matter. But when between China and USA there are the problems, they will favor Taiwan. Now, what happened? Right now, already I have told you that USA-China relations are not good. So therefore, what happened? USA's speaker Nancy Pelosi visited Taiwan. Okay, fine. This is something that is happening. Now, guys, next year as elections will be held. So basically what happens? China and USA will come to the confrontation. China has cautioned that no interference should be done into the elections. And USA has said that there should be no any change in the status quo. Now, often it has been seen that the China tries to influence the elections in Taiwan. Okay. And USA wants that no, it should not be there, because guys, see this thing, that present government that is in China, that is in Taiwan, present government that is in the Taiwan, it is more favorable to USA. USA wants that the same government should continue even after the next election. China wants to change that status quo. Okay, so on that particular thing also, the confrontation and rivalry between China and USA might come. After that, guys, USA will next year go to the election mode. Okay, fine. November 2024, USA will also enter the election mode. Okay, in that particular capacity also, basically there will be the concerns will come, because guys, nationalism actually today has become a very big theme in elections. Okay, and as USA's adversary is China, political leaders as a part of an election appeal often might make certain arguments or might make certain statements which might go against China. So that particular thing might have an implication. Okay. Now, guys, one thing that we can learn from here is that as USA and China have come forward and have come out with a dialogue and where they are trying to constructively engage, India should also learn some lessons. Now, it has been said that fourth winter is about to come. since the confrontation between India and China on line of actual control started. So around 4 years are happening since India-China line of actual control confrontation started. And now guys, India and China should also understand that war happens to be very costly, confrontations happen to be very costly. Already we have seen in case of Russia, Ukraine and Israel Hamas. So they should also come together and should take a first step as USA and China has taken. So this is something that is to be done. Now moving to next article. India targets $40 billion of in technical textiles. Guys, I hope that you have understood the previous article. So from IR point of view, that article is very important. So I have explained you not only what was there in this article, but other things also we have seen. Okay, now moving on. Now moving on. I am shifted from all over hyped institutions, Hindu analysis to your channel. Really found your channel yesterday and I became fan. Okay, thank you so much, dear. Thank you, Akshay. And a very good morning to all of you also. Okay, India targets $40 billion in technical textiles. Now, this particular article we'll see with respect to GS paper number 3 economy. GS paper number 3 economy. Okay. Now, first of all, you need to understand this particular word, technical textile. What are technical textiles? Okay. Now, article has not explained it, but here in this red color, I have explained you all the basic information about technical textile that you know. Now, guys, understand this particular thing. We wear clothes or we wear clothes for two purposes. Number one purpose is functionality and number two is aesthetic. Number one is functionality and number two is aesthetics. Okay, aesthetic means for beauty. You wear good clothes so that you look beautiful. Okay. Now guys, nowadays, our clothes have turned more to aesthetic than functionality. For example, people, they are wearing ripped jeans, they are wearing ripped clothes. Okay, now clothes were expected to give you protection from the outside world, but you are wearing the ripped jeans, ripped clothes. Okay, though you might be feeling cold or such kind of a thing, but you are wearing it. Why? Because you think that it looks beautiful. You are more concerned about aesthetic. You are more concerned about aesthetic. Okay, functionality has become less important. But some areas are the ones where aesthetic are least important, functionality is most important. For example, suppose there is a firefighter. Now, firefighter will go in the buildings that have been caught on fire and have to rescue people. Firefighter cannot think that whether he is looking beautiful in the clothes or not. He needs to wear those clothes which will give him protection from the fire. Needs to wear those shoes which will not be impacted by a hot surface, which will not catch fire easily. Functionality is more important. Okay. So technical textiles are those textiles which are crafted for a particular type of a functionality, and for a technical performance, rather than their aesthetic or decorative characteristics. Are you getting it or not? For example, suppose you might have a if you have a car, if you will open the hood of your car, if you will open the bonnet of your car, inside the bonnet of your car, there will be a thick cloth that will be there. That cloth is there so that it can absorb the sound that is coming from your engine. Okay, now that cloth is not designed to look beautiful. That cloth insulates your car, ensures that no sound should come out of your car. Same way in your car there is carpeting. Okay, that carpeting has a particular functionality. Okay, though it will be made of a particular color so that it matches your interior, but more important is functionality. So all these textiles, for example, clothing of a firefighter. Okay, for example, clothing of a firefighter. Okay, the here we have example. Okay, automotive applications, clothes that are in the carpet of your car, in the trunk of your car, that layer of cloth, that is a technical textile. Medical textile, for example, implants, geotextiles. Okay, for example guys, there is a particular type of a cloth that is laid, and on that embankment stones are laid so that they don't fall, they don't slip easily. So these geotextiles are also type of technical textiles. Okay, protective cloth, heating certain. Now guys, doctors often are wearing these PPE suits. PP suits. Now they don't wear those PP suits so that they look beautiful, but so that they don't catch the contaminants that are there. Okay, so that they don't contact pathogens that are there. So all these are the examples of the technical textiles. Okay, now guys, when we talk about technical textiles, according to Ministry of Textiles, India's market for technical textile will grow to $40 billion by 2030, and right now the market stands at $23 billion. So it will nearly be doubled in the next 7 years. Moreover, when we talk about technical textiles, export market also has a lot of potential. So it has been said that export of technical textiles will reach $10 billion from $2.5 billion. Right now, export of technical textile is 2.5, it will reach to 10 billion in next 7 years, that is by 2030. So there is a lot of potential and India needs to explore this particular potential. And for that particular thing, already government has started a dedicated mission, that is National Technical Textile Mission. And under this National Technical Textile Mission, government has allocated 1000 crore rupees so that it can support the startups industries which are producing, manufacturing and exporting technical textile. Now this particular mission has been extended to 2026. This mission has been extended till 2026. Okay, so this is about it. Now guys, when we talk about India, in India's manufacturing sector, textile sector plays a very important role, but even in textile, technical textile sector has it can offer many low hanging fruits that whose advantage should be taken by India. Okay, moving on in this particular direction. State of the economy, temper the euphoria. Now, uh, even yesterday I have told you this thing, and a lot times I have told you this thing, that every day you are not required to track articles in business page who are giving you day-to-day data about export import, about GST collection, about every day there is a data that is coming giving you information about the forecast of India's GDP in next 1 year or 6 months. I give you reasons that these data will change, okay, very frequently. By the time you will write that, by the time you will write your exam, all that information will become redundant. Secondly, I tell you that important things will come anyhow in your editorials, okay, and we see that every week 1 or 2 editorials on economy comes and they give a summary of economic condition, and this editorial is like that only. So we'll see this particular article with respect to GS paper number 3, state of Indian economy. GS paper number 3, state of Indian economy. So basically what has happened recently with respect to the growth forecast of India, many bodies, institutions and reports have been released. Fine. For example, World Economic Outlook has released their semi-annual report. The name of report is Navigating Global Divergences 2023. Also, IMF, International Monetary Fund, has released a report with respect to the growth forecast. And when we talk about the India's growth forecast, they have revised India's growth forecast. Okay, so for 23-24, India's GDP growth rate has been forecasted that it will grow at 6.3%. Earlier, it was expected that India's economy will grow at 6.1%. So, from 6.1%, it has been revised to 6.3%. And in short, it gives a particular kind of a hint that policy makers long run efforts that they have taken, they are showing some fruits. Moreover, also it is being said that when we talk about India's real inflation, okay, India's real GDP, India's real GDP adjusted with inflation, fine, it has not done very good. So when we talk about India's adjusted GDP, adjusted with inflation, it slowed down from 6.8% in 2016-17 to 2.8% in 2019-20, that is before the pandemic. So India's GDP was doing actually good in 16-17 but declined to 2.8% in 2019-20. However, it has started to recover post pandemic, but recovery is not still complete. Now though from 2.8% in 2019-20, we are now seeing that a rebound of 6.3% has happened. and everybody is celebrating it. But they say that there are many concerns that are there in this direction. What concerns are there? Concern number one is effects on employment. Okay. Concern number two, inflation in critical food items such as the food products. You see, though GDP is growing at 6.3%, but are there dignified, high paying jobs that are there? Particularly, have the jobs in the formal sector increased? Just 3 days back, we have seen one article where we have seen that in formal sector, just 8% of the jobs are there are there in the formal sector. 92% jobs are in informal sector, and informal sector jobs don't give good social security. They don't pay good salaries. Okay, the workers are always at the mercy of the employer. So point is that, have we created good quality of jobs? Have we tackled the problem of inflation? Inflation in food items have been alarmingly high, and it is impacting the poor people. So is economy really doing good or not? Secondly, guys, there is a very big concern, that is the susceptibility of India's. Okay, now see this particular thing. Soaring deficit with China. Now, our import dependence on China has increased. We are importing far more. And as we are importing more from China, our trade deficit with China has increased. Trade deficit with China has increased. Now, guys, understand this particular thing, that when we talk about India's dependence on China, this dependence is a structural dependence. This dependence is structural dependence. Now see this particular thing. What do you mean by structural dependence? See, let me give you one example. Pharmaceutical drugs. Today, India is said to be the pharmacy of the world. Okay, pharmacy to the world. We are actually manufacturing the largest amounts of generic drugs in the world. Now, any drug is based, any drug needs the active pharmaceutical ingredient. Active pharmaceutical ingredient, API. This is the base of any drug. And for API, we are dependent on China. We are dependent on China. Now see this particular thing, even if high tariffs are imposed on the import of API, still I will import the API from China, because without that I cannot make a drug. I cannot make a drug. Now, this type of dependence is on the China, structural dependence. Okay, for example, on semiconductors, okay, on the components of electronic industry, a large number of components, PCCBs, I import from China. So, dependence on China is structural, which cannot be corrected by changes in the relative prices. Though Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan has come, okay, which has specifically provided that we need to reduce our dependence on China. And after the Galwan Valley crisis that happened in LAC, line of actual control, we specifically said, now India has always said this particular thing, that the trade and blood cannot flow together. Okay, fine. So we want to reduce our dependence on China, but we are not able to do that because our dependence is structural dependence. After that, multidimensional poverty index. Recently, on multidimensional poverty, there was multidimensional poverty index that was released, and according to that, more than 13 crore, more than 13 crore people have escaped poverty. But economists are divided. Some of them believe that, some of them don't believe that. So point is that, guys, we are improving economically, but is that particular economic growth even? When we talk about the HDI, Human Development Index, which is released by the UNDP, they said that between 2015 to 21, India's rank has declined by one. India has come one down, one rank below, which shows that other countries are doing more improvement than India. Okay, so this is, guys, all about this particular article. Okay, now moving on to the next article. The geopolitical fallout of the Israel Hamas war. Okay, again we'll take this article for GS paper number 2, international affairs. GS paper number 2, international affairs. Okay, now first of all, guys, before going on in this particular article, you need to know certain basic things which are going to help you to understand this article better. Okay, now, guys, first you need to know that when we talk about West Asia happens to be geopolitically important region, and USA had tried to hold control over West Asia. But right now, USA's control over the West Asia have declined a little bit. Why? Because USA is more occupied in Europe. Why? Because Russia-Ukraine war is going on. Okay, and as USA is more occupied on West Asia, is more occupied on Europe, China is trying to claim more power in West Asia. Okay, and we see this particular thing that here China is trying to become a diplomatic hegemon in this particular region. One thing just keep in your mind. Now guys, when we talk about West Asia, I told you that West Asia happens to be very important region for USA, and USA has tried that the allies of USA should come together. Allies of USA in the West Asia should come together. Okay. Now, first, first you need to understand about this Abraham Accords. Abraham Accord. Now, what is Abraham Accord? Abraham Accord is the biggest achievement of Donald Trump, President of USA. So, Abraham Accord was signed in 2020. And through the Abraham Accord, what happened? Diplomatic relations were normalized between Israel, UAE, and Bahrain. UAE and Bahrain. Now understand this particular thing, guys. You know this particular thing that Israel and Palestine dispute is one of the Israel-Palestine dispute is a very concerning kind of a dispute that is there. Arab world has always favored the Palestine. Okay, and because of that, as Arab world is favored in the favor of Palestine, Israel and the Arab world countries did not had any good relation. And UAE also being sympathizer of the Arab world and being sympathizer of Palestine, UAE and Israel did not maintain any diplomatic relation. Okay, but what happened? USA brought Israel, UAE and Bahrain together with the help of this Abraham Accord. With the help of this Abraham Accord. Okay. So this was said as one of a diplomatic achievement of USA. Okay. But now what has happened? USA is occupied elsewhere. I told you in Ukraine and Russia, USA is occupied. Okay. And what has happened? What has happened? What has happened now? China is taking advantage. USA is facing deprioritization of West Asia. Deprioritization of West Asia. And as USA has deprioritized West Asia, internal actors of West Asia, they have started forging their own foreign policies. Okay. And here we are going to see some examples. Let's take them one by one. Let's take them one by one. First of all, guys, what has happened? It has opened opportunity for China. As USA is deprioritizing West Asia, China has taken that opportunity. Now, what China has done? So, guys, just a few months back, we have seen this particular thing that the China has brokered a diplomatic deal by which the relations between Iran and Saudi Arabia has been normalized. Now, guys, when we talk about the Iran and Saudi Arabia, they were number one enemies of each other. But because of the help of China, both of them have come together. Are you getting it or not? This is something that has happened. Moreover, China was also about to broker a diplomatic deal between Saudi Arabia and Israel. Saudi Arabia and Israel. Now, guys, understand this thing. Today, Palestinian support, Arab countries are very important. And what has happened? Slowly, Arab countries are going in favor of Israel. For example, UAE already started diplomatic relation with Israel after Abraham Accord. Bahrain already started it. Now, Saudi Arabia and Israel, if they would have come together, Palestinian questions could have been completely been negated. It could have been completely been extinguished. But actually what had happened after October 7? What happened on October 7? October 7, Hamas attacked on Israel. And as Hamas attacked on Israel, Israel has started a counterattack, and in that counterattack, thousands and thousands of people have died. And now the sympathy towards Palestine have increased so much. Israel is outrightly being criticized that you are killing children, you are killing women, innocent children and women. So entire world is now has now started sympathizing a large number of people have started sympathizing the Palestine. And in that background, Saudi Arabia cannot go with Israel. Saudi Arabia cannot support with Israel. Their own people will not approve it. Okay. Also, Saudi Arabia will not go for that particular thing. So, guys, what has happened now? The Arab and Israel deal is almost off the table. Almost off the table. Okay. So, this Israel's disproportionate attack has done this particular thing. Now, guys, recently also we have seen this thing that Arab countries, they have shown hunger for autonomy. They have shown hunger for autonomy. Okay. Now, see this particular thing that, guys, first of all, as Russia-Ukraine war started, US expected that West Asia will boycott Russia, but that has not happened. UAE and Saudi Arabia has not joined sanctions against Russia. Also, Saudi Arabia continued its OPEC plus cooperation with Russia. Also, we have seen this particular thing that China is signing a deal with UAE by which China might be able to develop a military facility in the UAE. Okay, in the UAE. So guys, we see this particular thing that actually what is happening. Now West Asia has started to forge new friends, forge new allies, as well as South. Now the West Asia has also starting following their autonomous foreign policies in which the USA's importance has drastically declined. So these are the changes that has come in here. Okay. Now moving on in this particular direction, and here we have one article. India has a critical role in Dubai Climate Conference. We'll see this particular article for GS paper number 3, Environment, Climate Diplomacy. Guys, nothing much important has been there in this particular article. There are few important points that you need to know. Okay, see this particular thing. Now, 28th edition of Conference of Parties is scheduled to be held in Dubai. Is scheduled to be held in Dubai. Fine, in the November last. Now, what is Conference of Parties? Conference of Party, it is the meeting, annual meeting of those countries who have signed UNFCCC, United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. So countries who have signed the UNFCCC, they come together and they discuss as how climate impact can be mitigated, how carbon emissions could be reduced. This meeting happens. This year, 28th meeting will help in Dubai. Okay. Now guys, here they are going to take up very important things, and we have discussed it. I think I don't even remember how many times we have discussed. They are going to track. I have told you that very important thing that will happen in this 28th meeting is GST. Global stock take discussions. Global stock take discussions. What is this global stock take discussion? Basically, if you remember, 2015 Paris Agreement was signed. 2015 Paris Agreement was signed. And the aim of Paris Agreement was to take certain steps by which we ensure that temperature rise should not go above 2 degrees Celsius and if possible 1.5 degrees Celsius. So temperature rise should not happen above 2 degrees Celsius, and if possible, then we should ensure that temperature rise does not happen beyond 1.5 degrees Celsius. So every country will do something, will take some steps, and these steps or doing something, every country has come out with INDC. Intended nationally determined contributions. Intended nationally determined contribution. Let's take one example. Suppose we are 20 friends. We are 20 friends. Okay. And one of our friend is facing some problem. And he needs 10,000 rupees. He needs 10,000 rupees. We are 20. We say that our friend needs 10,000 rupees and we should help him. And we need to collect 10,000 rupees. Now you contribute what you can do. You will say that, sir, I have 100 rupees. I will say that I have 20 rupees. Somebody will say I have 500 rupees. So intended nationally determined contribution. So what is the target? Target is to ensure that temperature rise should not happen above 2 degrees Celsius. So every country has to do something. And what they will do, that is their intended nationally determined contribution. What contributions they will pay, every country has come out with this. Okay. Now from 2015, we have started following our INDCs, but are we on the track to reach this? For that, assessment will be done. And that assessment is called as the GST Global Stocktake Exercise. This is the important highlight of this 28th edition of meeting. Now guys, what has happened? One controversy has emerged. What controversy has emerged? Now see this particular thing, that actually this COP28, who is the president of COP28? Sultan Al-Jaber. Sultan Al-Jaber. Now Sultan Al-Jaber is actually the head of the world's largest oil company. And we know this particular thing, that the highest emission happens because of the oil that we are burning, petrol, diesel that we are burning. So it is being said that being the president of world's largest oil company, it will lead to a conflict of interest. COP president will be inclined to push the world away from will be less inclined to push the world away from from fossil fuels. This is something that has happened. This controversy has emerged. Now guys, in this particular, what has happened? So Majid Al Suwadi, Director General COP28, he has justified that no, we are not going to do that. We will ensure that fair discussions are held, and all such justification is being given. Not that much important. So guys, this is all about it. However, you need not to go too much in detail. Just in 2 weeks, this meeting will happen and we'll see actually what happens. Okay, so why to go and speculate too much? Okay, that is all about it. Then moving on to the practice question for today. So guys, today question that we have is Russia and China may not replace America and West Asia in the near future, but the growing footprint of other great power is offering space for regional players. In this context, highlight how India can play a major role in West Asia. Okay, so this is the 10 marker question for GS paper number 2. Okay, so guys, that is all, and with this we come to an end to the today's session. Now guys, we'll be meeting on Monday. Till then, please take care of yourselves. Sunday is a day of revision, okay, where we revise the entire current affairs that we have read an entire week. Okay, there is one question, sir, please let us know about making notes. Okay, see, note making now, see, when you talk about the note making, understand this thing that note making is an important component, but when making notes, keep this particular thing in your mind that you are making notes paper wise. First of all, notes are not needed to make made date wise, that okay, on this date this news came, this date this news came. What I have seen that many of aspirants, they put the date notes. No, that is not needed. You have to see the syllabus, and syllabus wise you need to identify some major themes, and theme wise you need to make notes, and all the developments related to themes should be at one place. Okay, fine. Fine, so guys, now we'll be meeting on Monday. Okay, and if you have liked the video, please do hit the like button. Thank you so much.